I'm Super Speedy 101, and welcome to my Lua Classroom. Okay, to start this lesson, we're going to make sure that your Output tab is visible. So if you want it to be visible, you can go to the View, and you can click the Output button right here. And mine appears at the bottom. So first I'm going to be talking about the print function. I'm actually going to use a script here that I've created called myPrint, and I'm actually going to move it to the server script service. So what you guys can do is actually right-click server script service, insert object, and then insert a script, and it should bring out basically the same thing. So in this script, it shows print hello world. The print function in Lua, what it does is whatever's inside these parentheses here, it's going to put it into the output bar when the code runs. So because I put this script in server script service, this code will run when I first play the game. So to play the game, all you have to do is hit this play button here. So I'm going to hit the play button. If you don't see it, it's also under the test folder. We can look at the output and we see hello world. So that's what the print statement does. So let's go talk about variables now. So let's get some examples up. What is a variable? A variable is a place of storage that's associated with a name, otherwise known as a key, and stores a value. Creating a variable is usually a two-step process, declaring and initializing. Here's an example of a two-line variable creation. We're using two lines to create one variable, and it's separating the two steps. We're first declaring a variable. So to declare a variable, you usually start with local, meaning, hey, this is a local variable. Then you go with the name of the variable. I chose to name it my variable. You can choose it whatever you want. And this is the declaring statement. We're declaring that my variable is a variable. And initializing is the step where we set a value to it, or assigning a value. And I assigned it, or initialized it, with the value variable value, a string value. And that is how you create a variable. There's actually a way to do this in one line, which is the normal way to do it. And this is by declaring it like normal, but then following it up with an equal sign and in whatever value you want to set it with. This is faster and is the normal way to do it. There may be a case where you do not want to set a value to a variable. And so as we see here in this example, we declared the variable my_nil variable, but we never initialized it. We never assigned it a value. So this line here, that's going to print my_nil variable. Usually it would print whatever the value of the variable is. So if I were to print my variable 2, this would print, this. So I'm going to copy and paste here. Printing my variable 2 would print another variable value in the output bar because it is equal to another variable value string. In this case, we never gave it a value. So what would this print out? This would print out nil. And actually, when you type out nil, you'll see that it changes color. That is because nil is a keyword, and you cannot make a variable named nil. It just doesn't work because you can't set nil as a variable name. It is taken by Lua. A variable doesn't even have to be declared. So in this previous one, we declared a value or a variable, and then we never initialized it. In this case here, we've never declared this variable here that's called not a declared variable. And we can print this. It will not error. It will actually print out nil. It's trying to print out a global variable that doesn't have a value. And you might notice that there's lines underneath both of these print statements here. And they're actually orange lines. They might look red, and orange means a warning. And a warning does not error when you run. It will run the program. If you ever want to silence it, so let Lua know that you meant it to be equal to nil, then you can do that. It's literally the same thing because it's nil anyway, but now Lua knows that that was intentional and it will remove the warning. However, with this, it's going to say unknown global, not a declared variable. I don't recommend ever trying to utilize a variable that's never been declared because some people might try to declare it in the future, but it's just a weird situation. Don't do that. So I'm going to start talking about value types now, different types of values there are in Lua. And here I've got 4 different variables with 4 different types of values. With my string, I've got a string value. With my number, I've got a number value. With my boolean, I've got a boolean value. And with my nothing, I've got a nil value, or nada. There's nothing in there. And here's another built-in function of Lua, or Roblox Lua at least, called type of. There is a function called type, but that's what's built into Lua. Type of is something that's built into Roblox, and I recommend always using type of instead of type. When you do type of, I'm going to give you a string example. So I inserted a string into this. So this is going to return string, or a string value that says string. So if I did example, the example would be equal to the string. So I want to delete this example here. So when we look at this, type of returns a string describing the type of value that's inside the parentheses. So as an example, this prints type of my string. My string is a string, so the type of would equal to string. So when you print it out, it would just print out string into the output bar when you run it. So with number, Boolean would print out just the same, and nil would print out nil. So type of is used to determine what type of value you're working with. Type of works with Roblox values as well. However, type does not, so just use type of whenever you question. Type of can do everything type can, but type cannot do everything type of can. Okay, so I'm going to give you a set of examples of print statements. So we're going to work on this together here. So you can guys make a guess beforehand, and I'm going to explain what it is equal to, or what it prints out and why it does. So in this example, it should be pretty obvious. It's going to print out hello world. The print 1 plus 1 here, it's a little different. We've got a number operation happening here. So you got to think of this whenever you see an operator, think of it as one value. In this case, this would print out 2. If you wanted to print out 1 plus 1, actually, you would put it in strings like here. So we've got a 1 plus 1. This would print out 1 plus 1. This one would print out 2. Here's a curveball. We've got 1 in quotation marks, and we've got a 1 here. 1's a string and 1's a number. In most coding languages, this would not start. It would not run. It would error. It would crash because you can't add a string with a number. However, in Lua's pretty nice. Lua sees, hey, look at that. There's a 1 inside there. I think you're meaning it to be equal to the number 1. So it will actually print out 2 here. It will not error. Now, if I were to put a letter in here, this one would error now. But because it's just a number, it actually works out. I don't recommend ever relying on this. I'd always manually change it into a number first and then do it. But this is just showing the power of Lua here. Here's curveball example 2. Now we've got quotation marks with 1, not a number, but typed out, plus a number. So this one would not run. And how I show this is does not run. And so whenever it errors and does not work, I'm going to put DNR after it. So this one would crash when you try to run it and would be bad for your program. And now I've got the Boolean examples here. Booleans have 2 values, and it's true, and then there's false. And this one would just print out true, and this one would just print out false. And printing out nil would just print out nil. Now, here's the thing. It also is the same with these. You can make a print in the output bar look exactly the same by doing it in a string. So this one would print out exactly the same thing. However, they're technically printing out two different values. One's actually printing out a nil value, and one's printing out a string with nil as letters. So there's a difference, but it's just not seeable in the output bar. That's basically all you need to know for this first lesson. I have a test for you guys. So if you guys want to test your knowledge that this lesson provides, I have a test. And if you guys do the test, I'm going to comment the test down below. I'm also going to show it to you guys in a second here. But if you want to do the test and you answer the questions in the comments, I'll give you guys a cookie. I'll literally give you guys a cookie. So here's the test. The questions are, what will the following print out? And if it errors, if it crashes, put DNR for does not run. And here's the first set of questions here. Got the hello world. We've got stuff we've seen, but this might be a little confusing to you guys. Just take your time. Doesn't have to be too quick, but just look back at the lesson if you guys need to. Try to do it without running the code. But if you guys need the answer, answers will be in the comments as well. And here's some extra credit. So this is stuff that we didn't talk about today, but if you guys want to explore it or guess what it does, what it will print out, go ahead. I will also put the answers for these in here. And if you get it correct, I'll give you guys additional cookies for each one. So guys, thanks for listening to this first lesson. Hopefully you followed along. The next lesson is going to be on functions, and that's going to be coming out soon because I've already got that lesson plan all figured out. It's going to be a little boring at the start. Coding in general, if you want to learn how to do the fun stuff, you've got to learn how to do the boring stuff. And this is going to be boring at first, but we're quickly going to get into some fun things in the future. And at the end of these lesson series, I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a full-fledged game. And it's going to be step by step. So you guys will be able to follow along and make it your own game. But if you guys have any questions, any at all, comment them down below. I'll get to each one. And if you guys haven't subscribed, please do like this video for other people to see this. I hope this will be a great learning experience for you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next vid.